Have you cleared MRCOG, got your GMC registration, applied to dozens of NHS jobs but still not getting shortlisted? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Every week I receive messages from doctors who have done everything all right, passed MRCOG, completed GMC registration, prepared a CV, but are still struggling to get interviews or job offers. The truth is, passing MRCOG gets you eligible for jobs, but it doesn't automatically get you shortlisted. So, in today's video, I'll share you practical tips on how to build an NHS friendly CV, how to write supporting information, common mistakes IMGs make, how NHS shortlisting works, and interview preparation strategies. So, let's begin. Now, first, why do many IMGs fail to get shortlisted? The biggest misconception is I have MRCOG Part 3, I should easily get a job. Unfortunately, NHS recruitment doesn't work like that. Recruiters score candidates against the person's specification. If your application doesn't clearly demonstrate the essential criteria, you may not even get shortlisted. Many good doctors get rejected because of poor presentation, no evidence of audits, no teaching experience, and no leadership example. Remember, the recruiter does not know you personally. If you don't write it, they cannot score it. Now, coming to how to build a strong NHS CV. First part should include your personal details, your full name, your GMC number, email, phone number, and your location. Keep it professional, no photographs required. Now, the second section should be your professional summary. For example, I'm an obstetrician and gynecology specialist with this much years of experience, MRCOG qualified and GMC registered with interest in high risk OBS, emergency gynae, or laparoscopic surgeries. It should be short and impactful. Now, the third section should include your clinical experience. Instead of writing I worked in Obs and Gynae department, write what you did there. I managed antenatal clinic, labor ward emergencies, emergency gynae, cesarean sections, operative vaginal deliveries, laparoscopic surgeries, and multidisciplinary obs care. Use active language. Now, the fourth section should include audits and quality improvement. This section is frequently overlooked. Even simple audits can score points. For example, cesarean section audit, CTG documentation audit, PPH management audit. So mention your aim, findings, and the outcome in the audit. Now, fifth section should include your teaching experience. NHS values teaching. So mention undergraduate teaching, resident teaching, exam preparation sessions, simulation teaching. Even informal teaching counts. Now, the sixth section is regarding your research and publication. If available, include your publications, posters, presentations, conferences. If you don't have publications, don't panic. Many successful candidates don't. Now, seventh section is about the leadership. For example, duty roster management, departmental coordinator, organizing workshops, team lead during emergencies. Leadership does not mean being the head of department. So this was about building a good CV. Now coming to the most important section, the supporting information. This is where most candidates lose mark. Many candidates write, I'm hardworking, dedicated, and passionate. Unfortunately, this scores very little. Instead, take the person specification and address every point individually. For example, you can mention experience managing labor ward emergencies. So you write it as during my OBS and gynae practice, I have independently assessed and managed OBS emergencies including PPH, eclampsia, shoulder dystocia, and fetal distress under consultant supervision. Now the recruiter can score you. And likewise, you can mention about the teaching experience, write a specific example, what you've taught. Then some other examples are teamwork. Give a real clinical example. Always use evidence. Don't make claims without examples. Now, what are the common reasons for rejection? First is using the same application for every job. Second, ignoring person specification. Third, poor English expression. Fourth is no audits. Fifth, no evidence of teaching. Then applying only to major cities. Many doctors only apply to London. Expand your search. Your first NHS job is often outside major cities. Now let's discuss about the interview. NHS interviews are usually structured. Common domains include clinical scenarios. For example, they'll give you a scenario of PPH or ectopic pregnancy, severe preeclampsia, or CTG interpretation. So always use ABC approach. Think patient safety first. There are communication scenarios also, for example, breaking bad news, angry patient, complaint handling, just like you did in MRCOG Part 3. So, show empathy, listen first, and avoid confrontation. Then there are governance questions. For example, what would you do after a clinical error? So, the expected answer should be a patient safety, escalation, documentation, incident reporting, and reflection. Never hide mistakes. NHS values teamwork, respect, compassion, safety, and equality. These themes appear repeatedly. So, my top 5 tips are: tailor every application, address every criteria, include audits and teaching, practice interview aloud, apply broadly across the UK. Remember, getting shortlisted is a skill, interviewing is a skill, both can be learned. Now, if you have cleared MRCOG and obtained GMC registration, congratulations, you have already achieved something very difficult. Now, focus on presenting yourself effectively through your CV, supporting information, and interview performance. Let me know in the comments how many NHS applications you have submitted so far and what challenge are you facing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and share this video with your fellow OBS and Gynae IMGs. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.